it's a special animal. We are special people because not everybody can do what we do. And I think that sometimes those that haven't ever tried to do what we do, they have no idea, right? So I would like to invite them, come do my choir one day. Have fun. See you later. Okay. But who are we? We are musicians, right? We're all musicians. Let's claim it. We are conductors, right? Everybody say it. I'm a conductor. I'm a conductor. Amen? And we're herders of cats, all right? Because let's face it, our children are just like cats. I'm a cat owner. I have 3 cats. They are siblings. They're brothers and littermates or whatever you want to call them. But they, if you have, anybody else have cats? Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. They rule everything, right? They're not sweet like dogs that come and love you when you come in. Mine usually are mad at me when I come in. It's like, where have you been? It's after dinner time, you know, so I get a lot of, you know, when I come in the door, which is usually after their preferred dinner time. But they're just kind of on their own. They just do their own thing, and so do our children. And so what we have to learn is how to be good herders of cats, right? That's me, Holland Park. Yeah, okay, this is me. My title is Music Associate. I'm the coordinator of children's music. I'm the director of handbells. I have 2 handbell choirs, one really good one and one brand new one that most of the members are over 75 and have never done music before. It's awesome. She says they're very joyful. I'll say that. That's what their name is. Burr, with 2 R's. Bringers of joy. Okay, so I'm the coordinator of the acolytes that serve during the school year. I'm on the voice faculty at the Tower Arts Conservatory. I direct the Kingdom Singers, which is an all-inclusive choir, meaning all cognitive abilities and physical abilities and ages. I'm the director of the Encore Chorus, which is a senior adult choir, and it's mostly like 95% of the choir, of this choir, is people that are in their, 70s and 80s that have never been in a choir before because they've been too scared because the choir is good and they are too afraid. And so they don't know, it's just like teaching children. They're awesome and they'll do whatever I ask them to do. But anyway, that's one of the things I do. I'm a children's chorus of Better Dallas. I conduct the Concert 2 Chorus, which sings with the Dallas Symphony. Is on the Mahler 3rd recording that Dalton Staten just recently did. I'm a professional soprano, and I'm a professional herder of cats. That's what I do, right? We all have a long list, right? If we put our job descriptions in our lives, it would be longer than this, I'm sure. So, who are we, children's choir directors? We're musicians from birth. I don't know about you, but I was conducting Messiah in my living room with the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, that we had these things called albums, and you put them on a turntable and they float around, because I know I have young people here, and you put a needle on it, and you have to, get the fuzz off of it, and then I would conduct to the Mormon Tabernacle Choir as a 2nd grader, and learned the thing by memory by doing that. Because that's who we've always either sung or, done piano or whatever. We're conductors, whether we're professionals or volunteers. How many of you are volunteers at your church? So, you gotta claim, and I know that sometimes my volunteers are like, no, I'm not really a musician. I'm going, well, you are to these children, So you gotta claim it. You're the one. So you gotta claim that. Whatever your level of training is. And we're herders of cats. And our lives are kind of like cats. To succeed, I have found that there are things that you've got to do to be really successful at this children's choir thing. We're working with a volunteer group who can't drive, right? They have to be brought to us. And so what we have to do, there's a different set of rules for what we have to do maybe than what adult choir directors have to do, because their people can usually drive. So we've got to get to know our herd, right? And there are lots of different ways to get to do that. I did something really cool this year. I got the kids, or made the kids, it was real cheap. I just bought those little clip-on, but clip-ons, that are not on lanyards are not good for kids. They chew and they, you know, they hand you this wet mess and you're like, oh, I don't want this back. Okay, so I don't use lanyards. I did it once and it was not a good idea. So we clip on, and what I did, my choir that I teach has 1st through 5th graders in it. And so for the very first time ever, and I never can keep straight who's what age, you know, they kind of all run together to me now in my life. And so I made all the 1st graders name tags, you know, whatever color. I'm gonna make it up, yellow. And then I made all the 2nd graders lime green, and then 3rd graders purple, and whatever. So all the different grade levels had a different color name tag, which for me helped me kind of think, oh, I know he's a 5th grader. Oh, so all the purples are 5th graders, or whatever. And then I put on my, I'm in a church that every space is full always, and so we share space. I don't have a choir room that's my choir room. I have the Sunday school room that 5th graders are in until 10:30, and my choir rehearsal starts at 10:30. And so we always have this, I have carts, and they come out and I push in, and it just, you know, all happens magically with very little chaos. Not a lot of chaos, but it's all good. And so I put ribbons of the color of their name tags hanging off of my cart, and they go up and they get their name tag, they put it on. I'm telling you, it changed everything, especially for my little 1st and 2nd graders that I don't know all their names yet, because they're new to me. I know their moms' names because I email their moms, but I don't know their names. And so having that little name tag right here, it helped me a lot, because, you know, folks really like it when you call them by name. You know, we like to be called by name, right? It means somebody at least knows that about you. And so it really helped me, number 1, to learn their names, and number 2, it helped me to know who's at what level. And so my plan is for this next year, I'll keep the same name tags. So this year, 2nd graders will be yellow, and 1st graders will be whatever 5th grade was last year. Does that make sense? And so I'll just kind of rotate it out, and that way I'll kind of just follow them up like that. Anyway, so that's one thing. A cool name tag, and they could even put, I mean, you could go so far as to put little stickers on their name tag every time they came. That would kind of get messy, and I didn't do that, but that's something you could do, because this is plastic, and you could stick a little star on there. Sorry, I'm swallowed. Okay, you've got to know your parents, because like I said before, they don't drive, our kids don't drive, their parents have to bring them to us. And you've got to know what parents you could count on. Some of my parents are doctors and attorneys and judges and accountants and all that stuff, but they're also teachers, and they can handle the kids. I've got to know that if I need to leave the room for some reason, that I can say, Your Honor, would you please take care of this? You know, and she'll stand up there, yes, I will. You know, she's a federal judge, but when she's in my room, she's a parent volunteer, right? And so I don't say that to her in front of the children. You know, I'll say, Ms. Johnson, would you take place? But anyway, it's one of those things that you've got to know which of your parents are able to do that and which are not. Because let's face it, some parents are not able to do that. Some parents don't have that teacher gene. That's what I call it. That I'm in command gene. Some of us have it, and some of our parents don't. We have it. We all have it, because we're here. Okay? But we have it. But not all the parents do. But you've got to know that. And you've got to know which of the parents that I can count on to check roll and get it right. Which of the parents that I can count on to bring the snack when it's their turn. And which do I need to make sure that I've got something in the closet that I can pull out just in case they don't come. Let's face it, you know, it happens. But it's super important, and again, that you know them by their name as soon as you can, and who they're connected to, so that you know whose child is whose, and that you can talk. You know, someone's had a little bit of a problem today, paying attention. Did they have breakfast? You know, they kept saying they were hungry and whatever, or they wanted 5 bundles of grapes, you know, instead of just 1, that kind of thing. Name games, there's a million of them. They can be sung, they can be done at the beginning of the thing, and it depends on your time. I often don't have time to do that, but if you do have time, especially if I were teaching younger, my preschool and kindergarten teachers do spend a lot of time at the beginning, because they don't sing in church until like November. So they've got a long time before they have to produce a product, so to speak. I kind of have to get something ready by the end of September. So, but that's super fun, and it's another way that you can tell if they're pitched or non-pitched. You can help them by, if they're not pitched, by putting somebody that is a stronger singer to their right. Usually, most of us are right-eared, because most of us are right-handed, right? And so if you can put that strong singer to their right, that sometimes will help a pitched singer. It may not be immediate, it may be 3 years down the line, but eventually, most kids learn to become pitched singers, especially with a little help. Sometimes I will need to sit by or stand by one of those kiddos and just not sing in their ear like annoyingly, but just sing so they can hear, right? Does that make sense? So I say seating charts. I don't usually have assigned seats, except for a couple, and that is because I have some twins that are identical, and I have known them now for 3 years, and they're all the same age. It's like, our 3rd grade class has like tons of twins. I don't know how it happened, but it's amazing. And so I have to separate them so that I know who is who, and because they don't, if they're together, they're stronger than me. Let's just say it. They have more power than I do. So if I've got one named Lawson, and he sits over here because this is an L. When I look at it, that's an L. So Lawson sits here, and his brother Sanders sits over here, right? Does that make sense? So Sanders is over there, Lawson's over here, and that's just how I remember them. And if I see them together when they're not in their place, I know, hey guys, big hug, yay, good to see you. But I don't know, and I can even look at pictures, and their mom and dad try to help me. See, this one, Sanders has this, and and I'm like, I know, but I still don't see it all the time. I just don't see it all the time. Anyway, so that if you've got certain people that you kind of do need to have in a particular place, during musical time, when I know for sure who's gonna be there, because that's kind of, they obligate themselves, they've given money for a t-shirt or whatever, that I know they're gonna be there. I do set a seating chart for that, and I have little cards that I set out, because they need to be in the same place, because they might have partners for movement or whatever, so that at those times of the year I do. But most of the time I don't have a seating chart. It would probably be smart for me to, but I just don't. Prayer time. You can get to know your kids really well by what they're praying for. And we have prayer time every week where we make a prayer line, is what we call it. Anybody that wants to pray out loud can come up and get in the line, and we pass the microphone down. It's really special. And you get to know what's going on. Sometimes things that you wish you didn't know a little bit, or some, then there's the ones that do the silly things like, thank you God for Cheetos. Come on guys. But most of it, you can find out things that are going on in a kiddo's life, or if their parents will let you know. I always ask my parents to keep me aware of things, like if, a grandparent or a parent is sick, or if a dog's ill, or, those kind of things that are really important to the children, so that number one, I can be in prayer for them, but number two, so that I can tell them that I've been thinking about them and whatever's going on in their life. And they're pretty good about sharing those things during that prayer time. All right, moving. We change positions all the time. If you come to any of the other 2 sessions that I just did, we talked a lot about this. I'm going to do it real quick because I think it's important. It's changed my teaching when I started doing these things about 25 years ago. So they're old, but they're really important. And the kids, once they learn these things, they get it. They're super fast, right? So the postures that we use during choir, this is what I call up tall. And I say, okay, sit up tall. And they learn what that means. It means get out to the edge of your seat. You get 3 inches only for your posterior. Yes, your trauma. So 3 inches is all you get. So you're on the edge of your chair, and your back is tall, and all 6 feet are on the floor. So that's the 4 feet of the chair and your 2 feet, right? Because otherwise they'll do this, and then they'll tip over and break their teeth, and they're the permanent ones, and blah, blah, blah. Or they put if there's the rail right here, they'll put their feet on the rail, and again, they're gonna tump over. So 6 feet on the floor, that helps them remember, and the ones that look at you like, what are you talking about? The big kids will go, just 4 feet of the chair and your 2 feet, just put them on the floor. Listen to Miss Terrie, okay. So that's up tall. Then this is back but up, sit back but up. And that is still a good posture for singing, but it's a little bit of a rest for them. It's just different. It changes the way that they feel. Standing tall, if you've got tiles like this, it's perfect because you put the edge of one foot on one line and the edge of the other foot on the other, and that's right where your shoulders are. It's perfect. If you don't have tile in your room, I don't have tile in my room, I show them, and if they're too wide or if their feet are together, we fix it real quick. And I've got parent volunteers that help with that. And that's one thing that I do use my parents for a lot is posture stuff. Because they can easily see it, they know what I want, and if they don't know, I tell them, and then they've got it. But right, that's stand like a singer, chorister position, or standing tall. Stand like a kid, or hippie, right? Stand like a hippie, because we put your hip out. But that's just a different way to stand, not for singing, but if I'm asking them to do something else, they can stand like a hippie for a minute, and we kind of joke about that, because I know what a different meaning of hippie, right? And some of us do, some of us don't. All right, so, just kidding. Surely it's in the history books. Spa sitting happens to be their favorite. That's where you're on the edge of the chair, but you lean back like you're at the spa. And it's good for giving instruction if you don't need them to be singing right away. And then pop up, right? The rules are that they have to keep their eyes open and they have to listen. You know, I learned when I was teaching elementary school 100 years ago that the key to successful teaching for me is giving explicit and very carefully crafted instruction. If you can give the right instructions, they'll do what you really want them to do. If you leave out something, they might not. You know, like if you say, okay, everybody go to the whiteboard, but you don't tell them how you want them to go, then they're all just gonna rush over there. If I say, go to the whiteboard on your tippy toes, and we're gonna do it in 5 seconds. Ready? Wait, 5, wait, 4, wait, 3, wait, 2. Now, tippy toe, go. And then sit down. Does that make sense? You know, I mean, sometimes you just have to give really detailed instructions. And if you don't have chairs, the room that like I said, I share space with a Sunday school classroom, so there are chairs, but sometimes I ask them to put the chairs away, and we just have the floor. Like if we're getting ready to practice walking into the sanctuary for the first time, and we need to practice how that works, we walk in from the side, and we get into the 3 rows that we just formed, or 4 rows, whatever. Then I'll have them put the chairs away, and then you have to deal with the rest of the rehearsal, crisscross applesauce, or, and I'm not going to do it because I have my dress on, but you know, the V, where you do the double V with your feet both on one side, right? Or knees to your chest, or whatever. So those kinds of postures, if you're on the floor, or lay down, but keep your eyes open and listen, that's the opposite of spa sit, or the alternative to spa sit. Does that make sense? Because you've got to have a little bit of a relaxed moment every once in a while, and that would be that. Then, okay, so that's the different, oh, I just did them all without changing the thing. But let's see if I missed any. Up tall, that's the first one. Sit back foot up, we talked about that. Stand tall, talked about that. Spa sit, stand like kids, we talked about that, hippies. Okay, stand like choristers would be hands to the side, shoulders down, and touching your leg through your clothes. That makes sense? I have them put their hand on their leg, because that way they're not picking their nose, or you know, those other things that parents don't want on the video you know, of the singers. But if they're touching their legs, it usually helps them to be still too. Feet slightly apart, just like they do shoulder width. Make sense? Okay. Changing the location, we move around during the rehearsal. So if this is our room and we're in our chairs right here, there would be possibly circle spots. So let's do that. We're going to just do it. So the last class I tried to do it, and they didn't know that I really actually meant them to move, and so they were just like, okay, never mind. I didn't get that instruction. I really didn't. Let's do this. We're going to move into our circle spots. Okay, let me give you the instructions. The back row is just going to step behind your chair. The front row is just going to step forward just a little bit. The middle row is going to split down the middle and go to the sides, and we're going to make a circle by taking hands with our neighbor. Ready? 5, 4, go. 3, we got down to 0, 2, and oh, look at y'all. This must be the advanced choir. 1, and there's a small, and 0. You did it. Now drop hands. Good job, and go back to your spots. Very good. Yay. So that's how you can make a big circle, right? The taking hands is the biggest helper, because then you realize real quickly, these folks over here realize, oh, the circle's over here. Yeah. So that works, and my hands aren't long enough, that's right. So we'll get into circle spots often. 2 lines, just make 2 lines down the whole room, 2 big old long lines. You've got a big old row of kids, that's good. Riser positions, if you've got risers in your room, go to the risers in your riser position, so they'll have to know, I'm on row 3, I'm on row 2, I'm on row 1. These are my windows, right? And a way to get windows easily is hands on 2 different people that are right in front of you, and you look through the middle. You gotta look through the window, and then hands down, right? And then eventually they can do it without putting their hands up. That's the goal. Not always reach it, but most of the time we do. By October, we got it. To the blackboard and write, of course, we have a blackboard in here, but in the room, they always kid me because I'll go, okay, I'll go to the blackboard, and they go, Miss Terrie, it's not a blackboard, it's a whiteboard. Ah, okay. So go to the whiteboard, which again, it makes them get up and move, and sometimes we just need to do that. I love to teach using solfege, and so if I need to teach some melody bit that we're not getting quite right, we'll just move over to the whiteboard. I'll write the solfege ladder up there, and we'll do some little solfege stuffing, which is really, really helpful. It helps them to be correct when they have notes that they need to. Move to the wall. Move to the piano. Move to your circle spots. Move to performance positions. Move to shared space, meaning that you've got this much room around you, right? It's a PE term that they all know. They all know the words when you say shared space. Or back to your chairs. Or move to the floor, right? So just, if you ever sense, and this is always, it happens all the time, that they're getting a little restless, move them. That's the key. That'll fix it right away because they just need to get up. What we always need to remember is that in our room, whatever room we're teaching, there are kids that learn by listening, auditory learners. There are kids that learn by seeing, visual learners, and that there are kids that learn by moving, kinesthetic learners. And most of the world is kinesthetic learning. But what do we do? In life and in school, it's all visual and oral. And so those kinesthetic kids are sitting there not getting as much as they could get. When I have a son that's now 30, but when he was little, ADD all over the place. His first grade teacher was a genius and an angel. And she said, Charlie, you don't ever have to sit down. You never have to sit down in my room. You can always, if you need to get up, get up. You can come stand by me, you can go stand over there by the wall, I don't care, but you don't ever have to sit down if you don't want to. So he spent his first grade year never sitting down. And he learned everything. He was so smart. His second grade teacher needed him to sit down. And so it was a little bit more of a struggle for him. But I am always very thankful for Anita Buckmeyer. She was the best teacher ever for that boy. For that boy. She was the best teacher ever. All right, so to train your kids, you've got to train your cats. You've got to practice standing still. And you've got to, so let's practice standing still. So everybody stand up, please. Make sure that your feet are slightly apart. Your hands are by your side because we're getting ready to sing in church. And you're touching your leg through your clothing. Your feet are slightly apart so that you've got good singer posture. And we're just going to stand still. Your eyes are going to be on me. Your toes need to point to me. So some of you need to adjust just a little bit. Ah, yes. Toes to Miss Terrie is how I say it. Toes to Miss Terrie. Hands down. Your eyes are on Miss Terrie. Eyes, hands, feet. And so when we move into the sanctuary, all I have to do is, and they all go, toes go like this, and it's immediate, and they don't pick their nose and all that other stuff that we know that they can so easily do. Have a seat, thank you. But you know, but practicing that just a little bit, even just for that little second, is all that they need to do first. And then the next time you practice it and you sing your piece or half of your piece or whatever while they're still like that. And then you practice, okay, what if I'm your mom and I'm like this and you're standing on the steps, what are you going to do? And we have to practice that because of course, our inclination is to wave back at our mom. And I say, you can just look at them and smile, but then your eyes need to be on Miss Terrie. Okay, so, but you do have to, it seems like something silly that you need to practice standing, but yes, children need to practice standing still. It's hard. It's hard. Practice standing like choristers. Same thing with good posture. Practice walking in lines with little bitties. I usually have them use prayer hands and walk in a line to get into the risers. My elementary kids, I don't ask them to do prayer hands, but because they can usually just walk like a person. But little bitty ones, need a little help. Some of them, I should say. Well, we have to practice not talking. And for some of us, it's really hard. It's hard for me not to talk. We have to practice unison standing and sitting. The chairs in our chancel are wooden and they're on a floor like this. And so if you move, it makes this horrendous, really, really, really loud amplified, it's really annoying. And so we have to practice, if they're sitting in the chairs, you have to practice up to the front and then stand up. And the symbol, what I do for that is I'll go, and that's when you pick up your bottom and move it to the front and then stand. And so we practice that. And then I tell them why it makes so much noise. And every time somebody forgets and they make the noise and everybody goes, and they go, Miss Terrie, you're right, it really does make a really loud noise. And I'm like, I know, that's why we practice that. But doing that together also is really important. And your leadership of that is important, how you use your hands to help them with that. We often don't sing, we often don't sit. We usually sing at the very beginning of the service as a rule, and then leave, and then go back to our rehearsal or back to our worship that we do ourselves. So that kind of thing is important. Riser rules, if we have risers, which I do sometimes, like during musical time, sometimes I'll have risers, and we have to talk about these riser rules. These are great for school teaching for sure, because you usually do stand on risers. But my rules are no talking, no touching, no unplanned movement. Eyes on the conductor or you will sit out. Now, that seems harsh that you'll have to sit out, but I tell you what, do it during rehearsal, and one kid, have them sit out, and everybody else is like, okay, well, I'll keep our eyes, and it fixes it. And I always usually ask a child that I trust, I'll say, okay, I'm gonna do the riser rules, will you be my bad kid? One of the 5th graders, and they'll go, and so they'll be the one that doesn't, and so they'll have to sit out, and they have to act. I mean, it has to be a person that I have worked it out that they'll act really sad and so it teaches the lesson, and it's all good. Sometimes you have to just plant things, but that's one of them. Okay, planning. Good planning makes for a great rehearsal. We've just done 2 workshops on that the last couple of hours. Poor planning usually sets you up for dinner. They can smell the blood in the water. They're just like sharks, and they know when you're not prepared, and they feed on that, right? They know. I'm going to go real quick because some of y'all have been here 5, 7, or 10 minutes per activity or song. That's how the brain works, and it gives you a chance to reset the brain every 5, 7, or 10 minutes. Alternating songs, alternating position, alternating styles, alternating fast or slow, alternating energetic or calm, alternating the different postures, the different seated postures. Any of those things that you change will help reset their brains and keep them with you the whole time. And if you need hands, there are handouts over there for the 2 planning sessions that I just did. A couple of that. Score studies. Again, what we just talked about the last hour, it makes this whole thing easy, easy, easy during the year. Do it while you have a little bit of time during the summer when you're not seeing your choir. Then when it's time for you to see your choir, you can just plug and play. You just copy, paste, and make your lesson plan each week. Easy. Easy but cheesy. And then creating the art of music. Okay, so I think that lots of times we think that kids can't make art musically, and I don't believe it. I believe in asking for the best of my students, of my children. I believe in asking them to be excellent in not accepting under excellence. Does that make sense? I mean, I just, if they don't do it to my satisfaction, I ask them to do it again, and we try to fix it. And I think it's important that we think about what we do as an art form. that we don't think about it as just getting the kids up there and letting them sing. Because that's what happens a lot, right? I have been a judge at some contests that sometimes I'm thinking, these children could be beautiful singers, but their teacher's not making them. She's not requiring it, or he's not requiring it. And we have to require it, as in C-H-O-I-R. We gotta require, this is choir. And it's not just the singing, and at our church, the music that the children get in Sunday school is, some dads playing guitar and they're singing the kind of praise songs, which is great, but it's not beautiful. They're singing tenor is what they're doing, right? Am I right? Okay, and I mean, that's what they do. And so that's too low for them. That's the other thing, is that when you choose your music, don't pick things that center around middle C. It's too low. It's too low for them. The key of F is my favorite key to use as when I compose, and it's also my favorite key to use when I buy. Or G, because then you're centering here rather than, I can't sing prettily down there, right? And so how are my kids gonna sing prettily? Because they're following my example. Yes?
Have you noticed lately how
Yes.
low pitched the VBS songs are? I mean,
Yes.
I lead the VBS and we're getting ours next week, and I'm telling you, it's going A
It's
and
going
A
down.
flat,
I know.
middle C, and expecting little children to sing. It's
Because they're
pitiful.
they're
It's
singing
pitiful.
tenor. It's
I know, but
tenors.
who's not?
I don't know, but it's,
I'm telling these folks, that's big business.
It is.
That VBS is.
they're making a lot of money, you're right, and they're bringing it down, down,
I
down.
know.
It's, and what that forces, it forces the children to sing in their chest voice,
Or just, yeah.
or to yell, and it's not beautiful anymore. And so, so that's, again, that's our job, is to create that other thing that's beautiful singing, right? And it's important that we do it. Because if we don't, then they won't. They won't. Because let's face it, many of your students in your church choirs don't have an experience other than your music. There are some schools that don't have music. The students that I teach, many of them go to private school, and most of the private schools do not have music, which I look at their parents and I think, why are you not demanding that you're paying all this money and you're not having art and music in your school? Come on. Okay, so I just have to work extra hard and give them music when they come to me. Okay, so create music. Beginning a rehearsal. Let's begin our rehearsal. Everybody stand up. Just put yourself on your chair and have stand up, please. You need this much space. If you're in the middle, just stay where you are. Everybody else go outside. Okay? You don't want to have to run into your neighbor. Perfect. All right, so deep breath in through your nose and look up at the sky, even though it's a ceiling. And, thank you God for this day. And exhale down. Look at the floor, but keep your back straight. Inhale. And look again at the ceiling. Thank you God for these musicians. Help them to have a fabulous, fabulous year. Exhale down. Stretch the back of the neck. And one more time. In. Stretch up. Thank you God for music and for your church. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. And they all bend at the waist. Exhale. Don't touch the floor, just lean toward it. Inhale. Exhale, stay down. Inhale. Put your hands above your knee and slowly exhale as you straighten out one vertebra at a time. And your head and eyesight are the last thing to come up. Shoulders up, back, up, back, and then go from the back to the front. 2 and 3. Lean. And then other side. Stretch those oblique muscles one more time. And one more time. And lift the shoulders kind of high so it's a little uncomfortable. Think about something that happened today or yesterday that was unpleasant. And then let it go. And shake out. Okay. One more time. In. Something that happened And then let it out. And shake it out. Don't you feel better now? And what happened just then is we all started breathing together, which is the key to making beautiful music, right? You gotta breathe together to sing together. So, these are the warm-ups. I do these warm-ups, well, I'll do these. So, up and down, and down, and down. Ready? And go. Sorry, I went the wrong direction. Make sure it's long, tall. You have to really move the jaw. The next one is paw, and it's go, do, re, mi, fa, so, fa, mi, re, do. So you stay up on so for like 5. Ready? Go. Nice and light, really, really short, and your mouth is going to go from yaw, really big open. In fact, put your hand up and you can be a little puppet. Ready? Go. Good. Take 2 fingers, your 2 fingers, nobody else's, just yours, and turn them so that they're tall, and check and see if your mouth is that open, so that you're not touching your teeth. You need that much space, right? Check it in the mirror when you get home. It's your 2 fingers. So we're all built differently, right? But I've not met anybody yet who their 2 fingers weren't the right measurement for their mouth. Does that make sense? Isn't that awesome, the way that we're put together? But look at it. You should see. Look in the mirror when you get home. That's a good ah, right? And lots of times we think we're doing a good ah, but when you try, it's not really. So take a look, because what you do is what they see, and that's what they model. So you're their model. So keep going. I know, and that's what it feels like. And then, okay, I'm going to say because I know some. Okay, so this is what sometimes what an open ah will feel like to you if you've not done one. It feels like this. But it's not. And if you look in the mirror, you'll see that it's not. Does that make sense? Right, but if you're not used to opening, and I've got so many students of mine have tight jaws, and I am trying to figure that. Is it the cell phone? I mean, what is it that's making, or is it just the stress of today? It's the stress. I think it is. And so it's a lot of work on letting them watch in the mirror. And I can't tell you, when I started using a mirror regularly during my voice lessons, I mean, they would all go, oh, that's not what I thought I was doing. That's not what I thought I was doing. I'm not opening my mouth enough. And I was like, yes, I have, yes, you're right. I mean, I try not to go, yeah. And I can tell when I started asking my students to sing in front of the mirror every single day, and they come back the next week, I can tell who's done it and who's telling me a story. Because the ones that have done that every day for a week, their mouths are changed forever. And it's a miracle. Miracles are good. So here we go. So you can be a miracle to your kids. Have them open their mouths. Ready? And go. And I take them on up to an A flat. Take them all the way. Take them all the way. They can do it. And it's even if you can't do it, they can do it. And most of you can do it. You just don't. Don't be afraid. Sing. It's okay. You can either do Lou or Law, L-A-W, whichever one you like. I kind of go back and forth sometimes. Depends on what we're singing. If we're singing something with a lot of awe in it, then we'll do awe. Let's try it. Ready? And sing. Exercises that I just, well, just a second. Let me do this one. This is the last one. This is Helen Kemp, totally stolen. But she taught it. It was her gift to the world, right? So this is hers, so I'm stealing it. But I give her credit because she's amazing. fabulous K, and the children conduct it, and it's always together. It's a miracle. Ready, and go. La, 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 zonk. La, 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 zonk. And the hand is important. La, 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 zonk. La, 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 zonk. Wow, they sound beautiful, and it's because of this. It makes a difference. And so, because you could go, Noah, 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 zonk. You could, and it would be really unattractive, right? Okay, so have a seat. These warm-ups that I just did are right up here. You're welcome to come make a picture of them after. I didn't include this in the handout, I don't know why. But the first ones, not Helen Kemp's, but the first ones are from my amazing voice teacher at TCU. I'm a horn frog, go frogs. Sorry if you're a bad person. I'm frog. Sorry, I'm just kidding. I have total respect, absolutely, except when, never mind. Always some respect. Usually my fingernails are purple, but not today. Anyway, so my fabulous voice teacher at TCU, Ira Shantz, was Robert Shaw's favorite tenor. And Robert Shaw took my teacher all over the world doing the evangelist in the Bach Passions. Anytime, I mean, he very rarely did a Bach Passion without my teacher beside him. And he was an amazing tenor. He was also an amazing man. And I got these vocalises from him. I am old and I'm still singing healthily and happily and well, I'm not saying well, but well, people still hire me. I mean, I get paid money to sing, and I'm old, and so they are wonderful lifetime warm-ups. I do these with every single choir, no matter how young or how old they are, and with all my voice students. They're healthy. They don't push anything. They're not show-offy. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, they're not for that. They're for flexibility, range building, and they're fabulous. So you're welcome to those. If you want them, just take a picture and do whatever you want to. Okay, so that's how we begin every rehearsal, with stretching, just a little. It takes a total, once you do, when you're not teaching it, it takes a total of 5 minutes to do all that. The stretching component is super important because it sets this time of your day apart from the rest of your life. Makes you think, I'm a singer for this next, however long it is, hour and a half. As a student, you're saying, I'm a singer for the next hour and a half. But seriously, try it, because honestly.
No, I mean, to have them for an hour.
Oh, if you, yeah, I gotcha. I know, yeah. Right. Or 30 minutes or 20 or 5. How long do you have them?
I have them 45.
Okay, that's
In
good.
public school, I had 25.
Well, right. In public, yes, I know. I did that game. I had 22 and a half minutes. Right? Because that 30 seconds, you know, I know. But that's,
Swap with these.
yeah, exactly. Then you swap with the E. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was interesting, wasn't it? Okay, or isn't it? Whatever. So, but that little moment, but it is. I mean, it's fascinating to think that you can teach a lesson, get them in place, but see, that's where you have to go, okay, this is our deal. You go into the same place for school teaching. My kids went directly to a circle spot that was the same every day from the first day to the end, unless they had to switch for behavioral reasons. But, I mean, and so they knew exactly what to leave your shoes at the door, get in your spot, and we're good, okay? But for the choir, for time at church, I really do, that stretching thing is very important because it sets it apart. It makes their hearts beat at the same rate. It helps them start breathing at the same time, at the same rate. And that is proven to change the room, right? To change the feeling of the room. I've always said, and I just need to do it someday, there needs to be a congressional choir in Washington, D.C. that every congressperson is required to be in. That happens at the beginning of their sessions. I will be the director. They'll have to say, yes, Miss Terrie, and they'll have to sing. And they have to pay money if they don't come, to me personally. And they need to sing together just for a minute, for 10 minutes, and then go vote on things. Because then they'll be of the same heart for just a second at least, right? Yes, someday I'm gonna do it, but I'm just a chicken. I'm a chicken. But wouldn't that change the world if our leaders sang together for just a minute? They unify. The stretches really do unify the mind, the body, and the heart. Vocal warm-ups, we just did them. And then, please be a wonderful vocal model. And I realize when I teach workshops to elementary school teachers, many elementary school teachers are not singers to begin with. They're clarinet players, or they grew up playing violin or something, but they still love music, and that's great. But I always encourage them, if you're not a singer, guess what? You're the best singer in the room, even if you're not a singer. So be a better singer than you are. So how do you do that? Well, take voice lessons. And I know it takes time, and I know it's expensive sometimes, but be a wonderful vocal model. Your children will be better singers if you're a better singer, right? And I know many of you are fabulous singers, and I'm not saying that you're not, but I'm just saying, you are the best voice in the room. Certainly the most trained, right? So if you need to have help with that, get help. Just get some help. You are only, though, in the meantime, you are only one possible model, right? There are other models in that room. Children. The children can model for each other, right? Fifth graders, come up to the front. Would you please sing this for the other children? If you've just taught a little bit, let the fifth graders come up. Or all the boys, come up to the front. Sing this for the girls. Girls, come up to the front. Sing it for the boys. Use the children's model. Or if you've got one outstanding child, don't do it often because it'll make them feel funny. But every once in a while, that one or two, maybe three, a group, come up. Or if you've got older kids that are volunteering with you, that you taught before, that have come up and now they're your helpers, let them model for the children. They love that, right? And the little kids like to see the big kids. Or one half. This half of the room, would you turn to this side and sing to them? This side of the room, you're going to say one nice thing after they're finished. One nice thing about what they did, right? And then, real quick, 15 seconds, go. They sounded great. Their concert was good. They missed nothing. And I'll say, no, nothing bad. Nothing, not what they missed. What did they do right? And then switch off and let the other side do it, okay? And so there's your other, and then always listen more than you sing. John Feyerabend, do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
He's amazing. And I went to a workshop of his 1,000 years ago, and he said something that changed my life, and that was, sing for the children, not with the children. Because if you sing with the children, they won't sing. They do rely on you. It's just like the choir that has a really strong tenor, and one day the tenor's not there. Guess what? Those other three guys and that one lady that sings tenor, or five or whatever. I mean, that always happens. But they step up, and all of a sudden they're good tenors. They were relying on that one guy all this time, and they really were better singers than they let themselves be, because they were letting him do all the work, right? So it's important that you sing for them, but then when it's their turn to sing, let them do the singing. Okay? And I have to remind myself of that every single rehearsal. I'll catch myself singing with them, especially if they mess up. I'll find myself singing with them, and then I think, no. John Fire will say, no. Just do it for them after they're done. Wait until they're done. And so, same thing about the piano. I use the piano very little. I have a fabulous accompanist, and she brings a book. No, I'm kind of kidding. Sort of. Sometimes she does. Okay, so, because mostly I'm asking her for pitches. I teach a cappella. They tune better. And again, they don't rely on that piano. But I definitely don't do this. I definitely don't go, come, let us sing to the Lord. And I'm in the wrong key. I never do that. They need to sing a cappella by themselves, no crutch. They will be stronger, I promise. It's hard at first, the very first time, but after that, they're so smart. Kids are so smart, we don't give them credit. And they will be stronger and better if you will let them be. But you have to take away the crutches. No crutches. Listen when you sing. Said that. Limit the use of the piano. Other thing. Let it just be for the accompaniment. Let her give pitches and then use her for the accompaniment. Done. Expressive gestures. If you've been in the reading session we did last time, and if you looked at what I was doing, you might have thought, she doesn't really keep the beat, does she? No, I don't keep the beat. I use I hardly ever keep a beat. And it's mainly because that's not musical. I'll use that same song. Come, let us sing to the Lord. Okay, if I was keeping the beat, this is what it would sound like. Come, let us sing to the Lord. Make a joyful noise to the God. Okay, so that's not what I do. Number one, I wouldn't do it in 4. I wouldn't even think of it in 4. I would think of it in 2. It is in 4 probably, but I think of it in 2. So this is what I would do if I'm conducting that. Are we going ready? Come, let us sing to the Lord. Make a joyful noise to the God of our salvation. Right? So it's not, I've had people say things to me after a concert somewhere, you know, your conducting is so, I could see the music in what you were doing. I could see the music in what you were doing. But it's so, and I'm like, different? Yeah, or whatever, yeah. And he goes, yeah, but it was like, I mean, it was so, and I'm like, I know, it's unusual, I admit. But it's on purpose. It's because I conduct the music rather than keeping a beat. This does not help children sing musically at all, or adults, or anybody. It doesn't. But this does, right? Giving them that line. So I would encourage you to experiment a little bit with that. What do I want the song to sound like? And then how can I show by my gesture what I want the song to sound like?
Stand in front of a mirror and practice before you go with the children if you're inexperienced, and even if you are a seasoned director. See
Take a
what it
look,
looks like, so
because
is what you want.
this doesn't make music. It keeps time, and that's really important sometimes, but not really when your goal is to make the art of music, right? So I encourage you to experiment with getting out of a box, of not needing to do an exact pattern. Now, if that messes up your accompanist really bad, then you might have to work together just privately and just go, okay, here we go. Once I start, don't stop till the end. Just keep going, you know, and unless it's the end or something, you know. But it's an interesting, it's just an interesting concept in that I teach music. I don't necessarily keep that beat kind of thing all the time. But expressive gestures and same, you know, patterns. Do what is absolutely necessary, but you don't have to always stay with that particular thing. Okay, preserve yourself. Okay, this is what we meaning me, I don't do this as much as I should. Go to workshops. Y'all are doing it. You're going to a workshop. I'm teaching it. That's not preserving me, but it's okay. I'm just kidding. I'm happy to be here. But workshops and classes are so important for you to do, especially if you haven't been doing this for 100 years. And if you have been doing it for 100 years, it's good because you always hopefully get one more thing that you hadn't thought of or that's said in a different way. During the summer, of course, is awesome. Usually at universities, I know at SMU, at Baylor, they have this. Do they also are you a Baylor kid?
Yes.
Okay. Do they have Orff, Schulwerk, and Kodai training here as well?
Not like specific classes, but we've learned a little bit about it.
You learn it in music ed? Okay, so
Yeah.
at SMU and UNT.
And Texas Tech.
Oh, Texas Tech. Okay, good. So they do Orff and Kodai?
They do.
If you're doing that, if you're doing children, that's really good training. I've not done Kodai training, but I've done all the levels of Orff, and it changed my life. I mean, completely changed the way I look at music and how to teach it, because it's all about not tearing it apart, but analyzing it so you can teach it more efficiently and better, right? By looking at the elements. So, and movement too. That, you know, there's movement, Dalcroze and all that stuff is really important for teaching. Meaningful worship experiences for yourself. I do not have the opportunity to worship on Sunday mornings because I'm either teaching, singing, or leading. And so for me, that doesn't count as worship. And it's hard, and when I finally realized, I thought, well, I'm at church all the time, of course I'm worshiping, but I wasn't. And so finding those other kinds of meaningful worship experiences, whether it's you by yourself in the morning early, or whatever it is, or finding an online or watching something online, if that's a way that you can worship, finding time to meditate or to pray, right? Sometimes we are in a hurry and we're busy and we don't do that. Exercise your mind and your body, learn something new, do exercise, and I'm the one that doesn't do any of that, so I'm going to someday. Okay, so my husband's company moved, and they had in their old building an exercise room. So they had all this equipment. And so before they moved into their new office, they had a contest. They put little cups on all the equipment, and the employees could put their name in the cups, and then they drew at the end of the day. And my husband came home with an elliptical and a, what is it that Chuck Norris sells? The machine.
Body gym.
Total, yeah, that total thing. Yes. So in my home, right now, there is an elliptical in my bedroom, and upstairs there's this total gym thing, and I've done them twice. So, y'all are going to be my witness. When I go home tomorrow, I'm doing it. But why not? I mean, take a walk. I don't even take a walk. So anyway, we all need to do that because it's important. Read great books. The Bible is a good one. Dang. Know yourself. Do y'all know what the Enneagram is? Are you an Enneagram
Yes.
fan? What's your number?
4.
Really?
Yes.
I'm a 3.
Yeah.
But I'm in stress all the time, so I'm a 9. Okay, the Enneagram is this thing. It's this thing. It's a kind of a circle, and there's numbers all around the circle, and it's ancient. I mean, from ancient times, and it's basically your sort of your personality-ish. It's kind of your personality, I guess. How you live life, how you experience life. And a 3 is the performer, right? But a 9 is the helper that always helps too much and doesn't have any time for themselves. And so they become an introvert and go into their cave when they get stressed. And so I'm a 3, I'm a performer, but when I get overly stressed, I go to my room, I turn off the light, I watch Netflix and play video games on my phone. So that's, now you know my deep dark secret. Okay, so it's not a secret. Everybody knows. Okay, so, but anyway, it's a really interesting thing, and it helps you actually know more about your partner, whether it's your life partner or your work partners, and it helps you understand why they might do a certain thing. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it helps you kind of see that, oh, it's not on purpose that they're totally ignoring you. It's just that they're doing because they're a different number than you. Anyway, it's very interesting, and it helps you. You find out that you were a terrible parent. Let me because I treated my children like they were me, and they're not me. Neither one of them is me. So what works for me doesn't work for them. Okay, anyway. You all are a blessing to your herd, whatever your herd is. And I have lots of herds, and you do too. I mean, we all have a variety of herds. So be good to yourself. Be good to your herd. Think about the big goal, which is to praise God through music. And if we can't praise God with our very best, and if we can't help our children to praise God with their very best, we got to reset. We got to push the button and reset and start doing that, right? So, I hope you have a fabulous year or summer. We got summer first and then the year, right? Enjoy your summer, and thank you for coming. And